2, 3.
Good morning, gardeners. We're going to talk about wicking pots, and we're going to show you some medium-sized wicking pots. This wicking pot is about 10 or 12 inches tall. Knowing that we want the wicking to be about 8 inches tall, it means that most of this is going to be filled with potting soil. But we want the potting soil to be separated from the water. Because in a wicking pot, the idea is to put the water below the root zone, let the sun cause the moisture to rise up through the potting soil into the root zone of the plant. So what we're going to do is to build a place in this pot where we can have water. Then we're going to cover the materials that we're putting in there with a cloth that has holes in it so water and air can flow through it. Okay? So all of our material is going to be underneath it. Water is going to be underneath it, but it wicks up through the potting soil and into the root zone of the plant. If you have water below the roots, most of the time your plant never gets thirsty. It never dries out. And that's why wicking pots, especially smaller pots, will survive the summer temperatures. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is to look inside a pot and see that almost every pot has a hole in it. When you normally water, the water goes in the pot, the roots say, quick, 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 grab all the water you can, the water's gonna leave. And it goes right to that hole, down into the ground, and waters the plants in China, which is not really what we're trying to do. So in some of our wicking pots, we actually put a rubber patch over that and glue it down with construction adhesive, which is this stuff right here. Okay? That stuff will glue anything, waterproof. But in this case, I'm going to make this little pipe glued down around the hole so you can still see the hole, but now the water will have to get as deep as this pipe is before it will go over the top of the pipe and exit when there's too much water in the pot. You get too much water in the pot when you're hand watering, and you give it too much water, the water will come up. When it gets to the top, it goes down, safely exits the pot. In the meantime, you've got 3 inches or so of water in the pot that is safe. Okay? So I'm going to glue this one first with the adhesive. First thing that I do is I take my adhesive gun. This is a nail that's keeping it fresh so it doesn't harden and become unusable for the rest of the tube. I'm going to set it aside safely because it will stick to anything. Then I'm going to take and squeeze the adhesive onto the bottom edge of this pipe. I'm trying to put a lot of it on there, but I'm trying not to plug up the hole that's at the bottom of the pot. So as I go around once or twice, I'm just making sure that this adhesive is nice and goobery. Okay. Now if you have 3 hands, all this works better. Okay, now I've let off of the trigger. I'm going to hit this metal thing back here where my hand is, and I'm going to push it to take the pressure off of the glue coming out. And I'm going to still try to use up all that excess glue. For safety, I'm going to set that down for a second. I'm going to decide where the fill pipe is going to be, which I know it's going to be right here at this edge. I'm going to go ahead while I've got the glue out. I'm going to put a big old gob right here. We'll talk about the fill pipe when we get there. But it's best to do all this gluing at one time. Okay, now take the pressure off again. I'm going to take a popsicle stick. I'm going to clean off any excess glue on my nail just so that it doesn't keep goobering up like it's doing right there. Go ahead and go to here, and catch this excess. When I stick the nail in it, another big old gob's going to come out. So I'm planning on using all of my glue. And I'm going to put it right where the fill pipe is going to be leaning up against that edge. Okay. Now I'm ready. Set my gun off to the side. Then go back to the fill pipe. Going to turn it so that the glue is going to be down on the bottom of the pot. And then I'm going to take a popsicle stick and I'm going to go around that gob of glue and just press it. Down against the bottom so that it seals good. Up against the white pipe, which is just a PVC pipe that I cut off. A PVC pipe can be any size, 1.5, 2 inches, 3/4 inches, even a 1/2 inch. Any pipe size will let the pot fill up with water and the excess go out when the pot gets full. Okay, now take a look down there and you'll see that the glue has been spread all the way around, touching the bottom good. Okay. Trying to keep my sleeve out of the glue where the fill pipe's going to go. Okay, did it. Now if I just let it sit there in about an hour, it'll be good. Excess glue from my popsicle stick goes back up to here. Okay. Set my stick out of the way. Can't lay it flat on anything or it'll be solid when I get back there. This becomes the fill pipe. We're going to talk about what we use the fill pipe for, and we're going to have a cap of any kind. You don't have to have labels on them. If you want to take the label off, now's the time. But you're trying to put a fill cap on top of your pipe that either fits over the top or fits inside it. This type is just to keep the mosquitoes out, because you don't want them going down into the pot to a body of still water and lay their eggs and make more mosquitoes. So this one just fills on top. It's easy to take off with one hand. Take your garden hose, stick in here, fill it up, and when you see water starting to come out of the pot, you know that it's full. Then put this back on and it keeps bugs out. Now there's different caps. You can get a rounded cap that sits up here on top. It costs about $3.60, pretty expensive. You can also get caps that are thinner, but just have a ridge around them, and they cost around $1. These are less than $1. Doesn't matter. All you want to do is keep the bugs out. And one hand to take it off so you can use it. I'm going to put the fill pipe in. You notice the 45-degree angle on one side? We've measured the depth of the pot, okay, and decided that the point hits the bottom, and this 45-degree angle allows the garden water hose to fill the pot very quickly. So if I put it up against the wall, it would help, it would start to close it off so it can't get out easy. So I always turn it around on this angle so that it's open to the pot. I reach down, put that on the bottom of the pot, and then lean it right into that gob of glue that I put on there. I hold it for a second so that it's there. I'm going to grab some tape. I torn off some tape so that I can set it on the pot, hold the fill pipe, take my second one to hold it from the other direction, like that, and in an hour or so, that will have dried itself, and it'll be just as hard a surface as you see on the end of this nail right here. It is waterproof, and it just has a tendency to stick really, really good. So I really like the construction adhesive to do this particular part of the job. Now we'll take a picture down inside. You see what the bottom looks like. Next thing is to take perforated, which means slices between these ridges. They call this corrugated. It's 4-inch, it's drain pipe. Doesn't matter if it were 3-inch. It does matter if it's perforated. It helps if it has these little ridges. In some pots that are tall pots, I'll put a tall one like this. It's the top 8 inches of potting soil that you want to grow your stuff in. So this will be as much as it takes to fill up the pot with lots of water, okay? If you want to use a smaller one, it's because your pot isn't very deep. So you're trying to get your fill area for the water reservoir down here so you have room for the plants to grow all around it. So I'm going to take this one, which is about 4 or 5 inches, and I'm going to set it right in the middle so that the hole of the pot is still down in the very bottom of the pot where they manufactured it. But I've created a place where my water can now fill all of this void area down here. And this particular material is the shade cloth or frost cloth or weed control cloth. It's all the same stuff. Just take it, put it on top of your pot, and then carefully push it down in here, and then just tuck it around so that it fills up that void area. All we're trying to do is to keep most of the potting soil separated from the water. But the water has to touch the soil. The soil has to be wet. It can't be dry. If it's dry, you can't get the water to go up through dry soil very fast. If it's wet, it gets to the surface within hours. And you want the water to be moving up as the sun is coming out and going across the sky like that. Okay, now look down inside the pot and you'll see that it's finished at this point. It's just ready for potting mix. And what I like to do with my potting mix, any one of the potting mixes that you pick out are okay because they're mostly mulch. They're mostly dry wood fiber that's been chopped up into tiny little pieces and they absorb the moisture. Sometimes there's a little bit of ingredients in some of these that might help the plant, but there's very little. But these are all made by Kellogg's. They're all made locally. They're all designed for pots. They're designed for raised beds. This one is a garden soil, flowers and vegetables, but they all grow the same thing. Herbs, flowers, bushes, trees. It's just a lightweight material that holds water. So I like to take this, put it in a wheelbarrow or put it into a bucket, add water, mix it all up so that when I'm putting the wet potting soil in here, I've got the moisture already established. I could then take my cap off, fill it until I see water starting to come out of the bottom of the pot. And once I see that, then I know that I've got a water chamber solid from top to bottom. Now it's time to open up the space, put your plant in it, cover it back up, and you're done. Some people put a little decorative alfalfa kernels like what you'd feed to your farm animals. They like to put that up on the top because as it breaks down from rain landing on it and watering it and so forth, it breaks down and adds nitrogen to it. Nitrogen is good. It's one of the 3 things you need in your plants to make them grow. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. Any fertilizer that you buy is going to have those 3 numbers in it. So I would take whatever the instructions say, tablespoon or whatever it says, and sprinkle it around the top, water that one in. Now I've got nutrients that will last this plant for that growing season. A growing season is usually springtime. You plant around February 15th to March 15th to April 15th to May, did I get that right? February to March, March to April, April to May. But you've really got 30, 60, 90 days. You've only got 90 days of springtime gardening. From May 15th through the summer months until September 15th, you're going to have summertime. You change to different plants during the summer. You change to different plants during the fall. But you've got a spring garden and a fall garden and you've got a summer garden. When you're putting your fertilizer in here or liquid fertilizer into your water chamber, you're doing it at the beginning of each of those seasons. Spring, fertilize. Summertime, fertilize, and fall, fertilize. Then your plants have got the nutrients, they've got the mulch, which absorbs the moisture and lets the roots drink from that moisture as the plant goes along. Okay, that's it. Wicking pots. First video I've ever done. Thank you, Jody, for videoing it.